Good evening. Happy Sunday night. It is 10 o'clock p.m., 2200 on the west coast of the United States. So 600 GMT. This is cBasAfterDark for the 22nd of February, 2015. I'm your host, Neil Patrick Harris. No, I'm not actually, but I did actually tune into some of the Oscars against my own kind of will, against my own better judgment, I suppose I should say. The funny thing is, I had a better time than I expected, mostly because I was hating on it. It was really stupid for the most part. A mind-numbing bore. I promised only 60 seconds, so we're going to stop this after 60 seconds. But Neil Patrick Harris, I wanted to like him, but he was kind of lame. Birdman is a piece of shit movie. I hated it. It was excruciating, but apparently what the fuck do I know? Sean Penn's an asshole. The two things I liked, there were two things I could point at that I liked. Lady Gaga, which I've never said before that I like Lady Gaga, but her performance was quite stellar. And I don't know the guy's name. Graham, I think, is his first name. The guy who said, stay weird, stay awesome, that whole thing about, he was telling the story of Alan Turing and how he said it was completely unfair that Alan Turing never got a chance to be on a stage, and he did. And he thought that was really unfair. I thought, my God, that is like, and how do I say it? That reflects kind of a sensitivity or an awareness, or I don't know. I mean, that was a humility that I did not expect from the Oscars. I missed the most of the beginning. I didn't really care much for it. I got to say, and I'm now going to shift gears a little bit because the thing that I knew for the most part that I wanted to watch was the Bob Simon special on 60 Minutes. If you don't know Bob Simon, I'm a journalist, at least by career. Lord only knows if the media will ever hire me again. But everybody says, oh no, cBas, it'll be great. You'll be fine. You'll get whatever. But, you know, I'm a reporter, I feel like, and I feel like wasting people's time is sort of a bad thing. There's some stuff I want to talk about. One of the things we're going to do later, and we're going to enjoy this because this is going to be hella funny, is a little bit of riff tracks. Brought to you by Belch Beer. For good beer, drink Belch Beer. I make that joke every night when I burp because Phil Hendry, the radio guy, said it, and it amuses me. Buying food. Buying food is a short, old black and white like short film that the Riff Tracks guys, who are the Mystery Science Theater guys, if you don't know, basically tore to shreds. About 10 minutes long. We're going to have a blast do that. We'll do that at 11:30 just so we have something to tease, something to look forward to. 11:30, the bottom of the hour. I'm sorry, 10:30, the bottom of the hour here. In about 27 minutes from now, if you're watching on tape, just fast forward on to about halfway through, and we'll do a little bit of Riff Tracks. My mom reminded me that Pi Day this year is extra special because the year is 2015. So Pi Day, which is 3/14, March 14th, is a little unique this year because it's going to be 3.1415. The next time that'll happen, 2115 in 100 years, and I'll be dead to see that. So we got to have some kind of party on the show here for that. Bob Simon, a news reporter. I'm going to cry, dude. Like, Bob Simon is a news reporter who died in a car crash. A stupid fucking car crash because, you know, New York City, traffic, whatever. It's the most ordinary way to go for a guy who had such an amazing career. And the reason I'm crying is not because I miss it is partially because I miss Bob Simon's reporting. And I was not a friend of him. I never knew him. I know I loved his work, you know, that's essentially it. But I watched the profile of him, which was about 20 minutes long. It was really good. It was on just prior to the Oscars starting. And I just went ahead and watched the entire 90 minutes of the Bob Simon special because it was touching. It was real. It was a bunch of journalists of all types, producers, you know, old friends of his who were people who he worked with, the current staff of 60 Minutes who were his friends up there till the end. He'd been on 60 Minutes for more than a decade. He was a foreign correspondent. He was a war correspondent. And part of the reason I feel so sad and scared and upset about the whole story is I don't know that I'm ever going to get a chance to be a reporter in a foreign country. I've been a teacher in a foreign country, but I've never really, sorry, this is stupid. I didn't plan to cry. Maybe you can't see it if the reflection blocks it from the glasses. But I want to be a reporter. That's all I really have ever wanted to be. And having trouble finding a job is really rough. So when you watch somebody get taken away, I don't know, the capitalist part of my brain's like, hey, maybe there's a job opportunity at 60 Minutes, which is a cold, callous, fucking heartless thing to think. And I hate the part of my brain thinks that. But Bob Simon was like the reporter I wish I could be. And I don't know if I'm ever going to get a chance to be it. So when I talk about it, I get very emotional. And it sucks because it's all I've ever wanted to do, you know? And here's the thing. Obama economy, jobs all over the fucking place. Well, I'm applying to all of them. And apparently, a friend of mine on Facebook actually put it to me this way. She's like, apparently it seems to me that all they hire is tits who read. And this is not a person who's in the media at all. So I felt like that was a very refreshing comment to know that kind of my sensibilities of the whole thing were being backed up by the fact that people who are just observers of the media also think all the TV news people ever hire are tits who read. The problem with that is that that's just the reporter jobs. There are producer jobs where you don't have to be a pretty chick with skinny arms and big tits. There are writer jobs. There are editor jobs. There are, there's all kinds of jobs in the TV news, and there are jobs in the radio news. There's a million jobs, and for some reason, no one's even fucking calling me back. 99% of it. So it's really rough. One of the other things we're going to talk about, and we'll do after we do the Riff Tracks thing at 11:30. So around 11:45, we'll do another chapter of the whole story regarding Philip Perea, the guy who killed himself on the front of the Fox News building about a month ago after he was fired from his job. And he kind of tore his life up. He was not mentally stable. He was having a rough time anyway, sort of dealing with society and the way in which his employers were kind of roughing him up a little bit, sort of bullying him a little bit. He was not blameless or, sort of perfect by any means. I feel like he deserved better treatment. And again, the reason I do this story night after night, if you missed the first few chapters, go back and you can see him on YouTube. What he did was amazing. He did a 7-chapter YouTube video series where each chapter had between 2 and 7 pieces, each 15 to 20 minutes long on average. And talking, the guy recorded obsessively and like went back and put graphics, so subtitled all of the conversations he had with his boss, his boss's boss, his boss's boss's boss, and the vice president and general manager of the TV station where he worked. Like, the guy admits to having had OCD. The guy admits to having had ADHD. My problem with that is he uses the ADHD as a bit of an excuse. Every time a mistake would happen on the job, he would tell people, and this is in the audio that he himself put up, I have ADHD. What don't you understand about ADHD? I don't read emails fully, and I don't remember things as well. So you have to be easier on me than you are on the rest of the people. I would have fired him too if he'd tried that with me. You don't get special treatment. I mean, if you need an accommodation to be made because of an actual disability, according to the Americans with Disabilities Act, that's one thing. This doesn't count as that. This was him trying to get out of mistakes he'd made or failures to perform his job using ADHD as an excuse. I feel like that's kind of a blemish on the world of trying to, improve mental health access and improve job opportunities for people who are mentally ill and stuff like that. Blah, blah, blah. It's coming up at 11:45. What else do I want to talk about? Let's see. Wolowitz's mom. Did I talk about Wolowitz's mom on this show? If you're a Big Bang Theory viewer, you may know about this already, especially if you keep up with the latest Big Bang Theory episodes and you know the news. I didn't find out until about a month ago that the actress, and I have to look it up, Carol Ann Suzy is her name. she died of cancer like in November. It was right around the time I was transitioning from Mexico back into the United States, and so I wasn't paying very close attention, unfortunately. But they dealt with her death on the most recent new episode of The Big Bang Theory just a couple of nights ago, about 5 days ago or something. It was very touching. It was very sad. They did it in only the way they could, but she was a very special kind of supporting character in a way, because we only saw her off camera, with the exception of 2 glimpses of her that we caught across the entire run of the show. And yeah, it was a pretty sad situation. I mean, it was a really sad situation. I felt like, God, yeah. Anyway, death, sadness, sadness, death. Let's try and brighten it up a little bit here. Victoria Jackson on Saturday Night Live. The other thing I watched recently that I found amusing, the Saturday Night Live 40th anniversary. It's been a week ago tonight, as of now. But this article came up in the Hollywood Reporter. I don't really read the Hollywood Reporter, but I guess I follow them on Twitter because I saw this action. But or this report. And it was about how Victoria Jackson, the one who's kind of the conservative wacko now, but was also a 6-year veteran of Saturday Night Live. I noticed when I watched the Saturday Night Live 40th anniversary, she was not there. And she's now wondering if her opposition to gay marriage prompted Lorne Michaels to banish her to the overflow room. Some bloggers noticed she's a critic of Obama. She's a Christian conservative, a Tea Party favorite. She was the only cast member put in the overflow room. She told Rusty Humphries, because Rusty Humphries is the only show she could get on, probably. You know, whatever. I mean, I guess it's nice to know that she's not like dying in a hospital bed somewhere, because I did think Victoria Jackson was funny when I was watching her on Saturday Night Live. But you know, you turn into a Christian conservativo, and I kind of got a problem with that. Let me shift gears. Let me tell you about something that happened tonight. Someone in my family sent me an email that's bullshit. Tell me what you think of this. If you want to call, by the way, feel free to give me a call right here, the 310-776-5867. That's 310-776-Coons. You can send a tweet to Sebastian Coons if you want, or you can just join me live here in the program. But a member of my family sent me an email. This is a person who occasionally likes to forward shit. You know, the person who forwards, usually an older person who forwards stuff to you. I had to reply tonight, finally, because yet another thing that I got sent was bullshit. And the thing I got sent was, let me think for a second, it was about some scopolamine, I think is the name of the drug in this country. They have another name for it in like Africa or whatever, but it was an email about don't take anything from strangers, because if a stranger hands you a piece of paper or a card or something, and then you touch it, it's got scopolamine. It's like saturated with scopolamine, and you touch it, and then you feel woozy and you pass out. The only reason I remember the name scopolamine is it was featured in an X-Files episode. But this stupid forward bullshit email that, you know, was going around and has been going around since 2008 that won't die is still going around. And it's like, and there's even a part of it that now says, aha, see here, confirmed by Snopes is true, kind of a thing, if you just read the email. If you go to Google and type in Snopes scopolamine, or the African name of the drug, which is like bukuka or something like that, you can tell within 15 seconds that it's a bullshit story. It took me about 15 seconds to figure out it was bullshit. And now I'm worried about if I reacted too strongly. I replied all to the person who sent it to me and everybody who got it, saying, this is false. This is bullshit. I fact-checked it. It took me 15 seconds to type into Google Snopes scopolamine and figure out it was fake. The next time this happens, I'm blocking you from my email, and you can never email me again. As it is now, I have already given the person in question already only has access to my junk email account because of this pattern. I don't check emails for this account very often because it's the one I write down when, you know, Reynolds wants your email, or Michael's Craft Store, or, you know, EG's, or let me try something, In-N-Out Burger, any place that ways. Do you have an email? They try to start spamming you shit. I have the email I give out that is easy to say, and then, you know, I check it once in a blue moon. Well, this one, finally, a family member of mine sent me a forward saying, oh, you know, strangers are kidnapping and raping people by handing them a card saturated with scopolamine, and then they pass out, and then blah 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 blah. Right up there with organ harvesting, right up there with what was it? The blinking your headlights and making a gang member turn around and kill you. All that happy horse shit that is total happy horse shit. Just blows my mind, and I don't understand it. But here's my question to you. Is it too strong of a reaction to say, stop sending me bullshit email that is easily checkable? You spend a lot of time on the internet, clearly. How much time does it take for you to go to Yahoo and type in scopolamine, Snopes, whatever? If I had a sense that had happened, I would not be this angry. The other thing I noticed, as I said, in the email, it said, proven by Snopes.com as true. It actually had a claim in there that Snopes has declared this true. And then they have a couple of other, media accounts supposedly where, TV news reports have picked up on this like it were a real news story when it wasn't, and reported it without doing the proper fact checking, the way local TV news can do in small towns where, they're overstaffed or staffed by idiots. And yet I can't get a job in the fucking news media. It doesn't take me long to fact check shit. The other side of the coin is I got called out for retweeting something that apparently I should have fact checked. But the problem is I was retweeting it kind of ironically because I was amused that people keep photoshopping the date in the future of Back to the Future. Then they go to the future and Back to the Future. October 26th, 2015, Marty, it's 2000, they're in the future. It's Back to the Future 2 I'm talking about. I'm still fucking sniffling from having cried earlier. It's insane. But I found that really amusing. Anyway, there's this guy who's a sort of a news reporter. He's been under investigation. He's been fired. He's not like a journalist. Here's the thing. Part of my problem with journalists today, is that a lot of people think they're a journalist when they retweet the AP a lot. Or if they're the first person to retweet ABC News, they consider themselves a journalist. If they create a website with live feeds to all of the different cable news outlets, you got your live feed for Al Jazeera here, you got live feed from ABC here, you got your live feed for CBS here, you got live feed from MSNBC here, you got your live feed for Fox News here, you got your live feed from Agence France Presse here, you got your, you know what I'm saying? Like they just create a website with other news outlets feeding into it, and then they think of themselves as a journalist. Pass me some of what you're smoking, because that's not journalism. That is aggregating. It's kind of repurposing other people's journalism. It's practically stealing it. If you're a journalist, go interview somebody. Go to Haiti. Go to Afghanistan. You know what I'm saying? Go to Washington, D.C. It doesn't have to be out of the country. Go someplace in this country. Go out and interview people and cover actual news. Do a journalistic report that involves interviews and fact-checking and research. And, if you need to do it this way, fine. Go get the public reaction. That's one of my problems with this kind of journalism bullshit, is many bosses of mine in my reporter jobs over the years would say, oh, you got to get the man on the street. You got to get the rank and file. You know what? As a viewer of the news, as a listener of the news, I don't give a shit about what Joe Sixpack on the street considers about what their opinions are on the news. And as a result, I don't put that shit in my news stories, or didn't when I was a working journalist. I just feel like journalism is kind of a lost art. Some of the job interviews that I think I've got coming up, one of them is for a solar company. And I was sitting pacing back and forth inside my bedroom today going, solar company. One of my questions is, if I go in, I don't have my solar laptop bag here. It's in the next room, but I have this solar laptop bag. Maybe I can show you a picture really fast. Let me just show you this solar laptop bag that I have. Here we go. I'll switch it to this, and then I will join this, and I will go images, and I will go Voltaic, because that's the name of the company, is Voltaic Laptop Bag. There we go. This is essentially it. You see this right here? That is the laptop bag I have. There's a little red LED, if you can see right here. And when enough light hits the photovoltaic area here, the LED comes on, and inside there's a battery that you charge, and then you charge your phone or whatever from that battery. You may have heard me say on this broadcast before that I am currently charging my cellular phone and my little stupid mini tablet with only solar energy if possible. Now, because of a couple of cloudy days, there have been times when I had to plug it into the wall. But, 80%, 85% or so of the energy I use to power my mobile devices is actually solar. Then it dawns on me after I get an email from one of those job aggregator websites that, hey, check it out. Solar, what's it is looking for, salespeople or whatever. And I was like, I wonder if I can get a job working in a solar firm. I've never been a salesman. And frankly, what I was pacing back and forth thinking to myself is if it comes up in the interview, there are two things I will not do, even if I get hired somehow as a sort of salesperson. I will not go door to door, knocking on people's doors, trying to get them to buy or lease solar panels. That is a 19th century model of doing business in the 21st century using a 21st century technology. That is absolute horse shit. And I would sooner work in the back stock at Walmart, or I would sooner work on the floor of Walmart than do that job. And the other thing I feel like I won't do, I just can't, is phone cold calling. Now, what I can do is work in a showroom or an office or take calls or do whatever and, educate people about solar energy and how it works and where it works best and, how it's paid for and how much it costs and all of that stuff. I could do that till the cows come home. I think solar energy it's clearly a growing business. On the other hand, there's a lot of shysters out there. I saw 2 reports. In fact, let's look at a couple of these reports really fast because these were fascinating. I did not know this until I looked. But apparently, let's just see. That's not what I wanted to select. That's taking me off into infinity, isn't it? What I wanted to select was this, the photovoltaic bag. What I want to search for is solar energy, solar panels selling houses, because it turns out that there are at least 2 stories, one from NPR here on the second low, and then this first line, rooftop solar leases actually scaring buyers when homeowners sell. Because what it does when you're buying a house that has solar panels on top, and if the solar panels are leased, then you have to take over the lease. A lot of this is happening in California and Arizona, where I currently am. And apparently the thing is there are many buyers of homes who have balked or just said, fuck no, to buying a house that has a solar panel lease attached to it because they don't understand it. It's kind of confusing, might make the price go up, even though you're saving money on the electric thing over the long haul. It's very difficult. If you want to just buy the solar panels, that's a value added benefit to your house. But if you are leasing it, that's scary for some buyers who don't understand. And these cases are just starting to pop up because solar panels on houses are just barely starting to become even slightly common. So that was one of those things that really troubled me as well. So if I end up getting a phone interview with this solar agency or one of these companies that does solar equipment, I'm going to be like, listen to me. There's 2 things I won't do. I'm not going to cold call people trying to get them to buy solar. And I'm not going to do door to door like a 19th century vacuum salesman trying to get people to put solar panels. That's just happy horse shit. And I feel like that's, it's this side of dishonest. It's nobody. Here's the thing. Nobody wants someone going, hello, I'm from Solar Cities, America, and I would like you to consider, do you know how much is your energy bill? That whole thing that cell phone workers do, Sprint people when you're walking through the mall, T-Mobile people when you're walking through the shopping mall. Hey, what's a cool phone? What kind of phone you got? What kind of plan you have? Hey, what are you doing? You want to try an upgrade? I get you, we're giving away, we're meeting people's bills, we're cutting them in half, blah, blah, blah. I hate all that shit. That is so sleazy to me. That is so sort of forced, and it makes me uncomfortable as a consumer, and I'm not going to make other people uncomfortable in a way I don't like being made uncomfortable. And, if it's on commission, that's one thing. I don't think I could really work on commission. I don't think I'd be a good salesperson at all for of any kind, I don't think I could sell Star Trek episodes, and I know nothing. I know about nothing like I know about Star Trek, but at any rate, I'm considering whether or not to sort of pursue that or not. If you have any insight, any stories about solar panels or anything like that, please give me a call at the number you see here on your screen. One of the guys in the Trekkie chat room talked tonight about talk tonight. I say tonight. It's morning in the UK where he is. He was talking about making bacon pancakes. And I just had to go, oh, dry heave into wax paper because my friend Feg is doing exactly what I hate, combining the sweet and the salty together. And again, that's his thing, and it's his thing, and it's not on my plate, so I don't care. Enjoy. Game on. You get down with your bad self as far as putting bacon into things that are going to be putting your syrup on later, but I will beat you to death with a Mrs. Butterworth bottle if you try to put any syrup on my eggs, toast, pancakes. No, not syrup on the pan. Syrup does go on the pancakes. I was going to say eggs or bacon because those are the things that, to me, are salty, and I don't mix salty and savory in the same mouthful. I'm nuts with that. I realize the salted caramel is highly popular, all this happy bullshit, but yes, it's right up there with Birdman. It's like, God. You know what? Let's talk about Birdman. I didn't want to talk about the Oscars, but I will talk about this movie I hated. I don't remember if I talked about it in the broadcast here or not. The Birdman movie was excruciating. I like Michael Keaton. I liked him a lot in Beetlejuice. I thought he was okay as the Batman. What else has he been in that I thought he was really good? There's been a handful of things I really liked Michael Keaton in. Number one was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Oh, he was on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, I hear you cry? Yeah. Before he was even known as Michael Keaton. His last name is apparently Douglas, at least it used to be in real life. And Michael Keaton, oh, let's just see if YouTube doesn't have a clip of Michael Keaton performing. He was a stagehand slash floor director. He made picture work on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood back when Mr. Rogers was on PBS. Michael Keaton, Mr. Rogers. Yeah, baby. Also, Mr. Mom came up. Does it show it here? From Birdman to Batman, Margaret Hamilton and Mr. Rogers. Was Mr. Rogers a sniper in Vietnam? That's kind of that bullshit that says, it's right up there with what I was talking about. Here's Fred Rogers on The Tonight Show. Here we go. Michael Keaton on Fred Rogers. Does it show? Oh, I actually own this this documentary. It's the only time I ever contributed to PBS Pledge Drive. But let's look at this for 1 second.
I was on the floor crew of a lot of shows, including Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I was even on the program a couple of times.
That's him right there.
But that was back when I was a serious actor.
Oh, yeah. So let me just say, from Beetlejuice to this, there's a lot Michael Keaton has done that I love and adore. I gotta say Birdman wasn't one of them. Kind of like people talked about Titanic. I made this point in many of my classes. Many of my Latino students, my Mexican students learning English in Mexico were all about the movie Titanic. God, they love Titanic. And I was like, I hated Titanic. I'm not sure if it was Dennis Leary that talked about this initially, but I had the same experience, which is why I tell the story, which is I fell asleep in the second hour of Titanic, and in the third hour after I woke up, it was still fucking sinking. Like, the thing everybody made a big deal about in Titanic was that it was real time, right? Oh, cBas, no, you don't understand. The movie is in real time. It takes the exact amount of time to sink the ship in the movie than it took in real life. Isn't that exciting? What a great cinematic mess. What a breakthrough and blah, blah, blah. No. Guess what? Joke's on you, motherfucker, because it would have been better if it was faster. It would have been less boring, and it would have been, more realistic, paradoxically, if they hadn't made it take the actual amount of time that it really took to sink. And has this claim of being all in one take, as people think, because the edits are actually well disguised. You go in through a doorway where it's dark in the room that you're going into, right? You go into the doorway and it's dark for a second, and then either the lights get turned on or sort of your eyes adjust to the light level in the room, and then you realize, oh, we're in another room now, kind of a thing, right? And you see things. Well, that's where the edit took place, is when you go through the doorway and it's dark for that split second. That's an edit. Now, true, the takes for this movie were way longer than most movie takes. A lot of that steady cam action going on where, the camera follows you around, a lot of walking and talking down hallways and stuff. But guess what? Joke's on you, motherfucker, because I found it exhausting. Like, turns out those edits are where you pause the DVD to go pee or get a new soda, or, where you just can relax your brain for a second. Check your phone. I don't even know. But all I know is I felt exhausted. Something worked hard when I was watching this movie, and it was not a good thing. Now, I did community theater, Rocky Horror Picture Show, but I did it for 7 years, so I feel like I'm at least slightly qualified to talk about the angst of theater actors, theatrical performers. This, as somebody who I was watching the movie with said, this is a tribute and a homage to the angst of theater actors. I'm like, yeah, it was, and it's not good. And this person didn't think it was good either. We both were kind of looking at ourselves going, God, this is excruciating. Here's how I know if I'm enjoying a movie. If I do this, if I check my time, I have a watch on most of the time. If I look at what time it is, then I'm not engaged. I never looked at my watch once when I watched The Guardians of the Galaxy, for instance. I did not want to go to that movie. My teacher friends in Mexico dragged me to the cinema. We had to sit in the front row. I'm sitting there looking at, Star-Lord like this, and the whole movie, I'm looking up at like a 45-degree angle. And yet I didn't even remember that I was in the front row about 5 minutes in, because that movie had me mesmerized. I am not a fan of superhero movies. I don't like Superman, Spider-Man, Batman, maybe the original Superman, maybe, but not really. I don't give a shit about comic book movies. The Marvel Comics thing is hugely popular. It's usually part of the Big Bang Theory universe, but I just don't identify with that, and I don't, it does not engage the part of my brain. I'm a science fiction fan and not a fantasy fan. I saw The Lord of the Rings, but not Harry Potter. I did not see The Hobbit, any of them. I'm just not interested in that kind of bullshit fantasy thing. It's a genre. Now, sci-fi fantasy gets kind of grouped together a lot, but science fiction and fantasy are not the same kind of movie. And it takes really something to impress me. And I don't know exactly what it was about. I don't like Zoe Saldana because she's Uhura in the new Star Trek movies. But guess what? She did a great job as the green chick in Guardians of the Galaxy. I could not say enough good things about Guardians of the Galaxy. I think they won an Oscar actually tonight. It wasn't like a big Oscar. It was like, cinematography or production design or one of those. But there's some movies I like. It's not like I hate all movies. It's easy for people to just say, oh, cBas, you're so negative. You hate everything, blah, blah, blah. No, I just got a high bar for what it takes to impress me. And what it takes to impress me in this case is, I will tell you this. I did see the Alan Turing movie, what's it called? The Imitation Game. Now, I don't want to go around strutting like it's no big deal that I knew the Alan Turing story before they made a movie about it. But, one of the degrees I have is philosophy. And the work I did in philosophy was mostly artificial intelligence. And the father of computing and artificial intelligence, obviously, was Alan Turing. They call it the Turing test and the church Turing thesis and all of this stuff. Alan Turing was a big name in my life as far back as 19 years ago when I went to college and first learned his name and what he did. And that he was gay and that he was persecuted for it. And he was not a secret that he was gay necessarily, but he did not get treated well. There was a guy in the Oscars, I think I mentioned it earlier, when he said, he tried to kill himself at 16 and now he's on stage, and Alan Turing never got the chance to be on a stage, and that was unfair. I thought, you know what? Of all the Oscar bullshit that we have to go through, that kind of made it worth it. Lady Gaga was a good singer, but that comment he made about if you're feeling weird, if you're feeling alone, if you're feeling whatever, stay weird, stay that way, because you will get a chance to be on the stage someday just like he did. I thought that was like uplifting. Now, I wanted to like Neil Patrick Harris taking his shirt off. I will say this. Thank God I watched that fucking Birdman movie, because it did let me get the joke when Neil Patrick Harris took his clothes off and came out on stage, and the first words out of his mouth are, "Acting is a noble profession," and he's there in his tighty-whitey underwear. And that was mildly amusing. But there were just as many jokes that he tried to do that fell flat on the face, and that was evidenced by what we saw. I promise no more than 60 seconds worth of Oscar talk on this. Hey, let's shift gears. Let's do some fun stuff. The guys from Mystery Science Theater were actually kind of live tweeting through the Oscars watching. Kevin Murphy, Bill Corbett, Michael J. Nelson. And what I want to watch with you now is Riff Tracks How to Buy Food. It's on YouTube. I think it's their official... here we go. Riff Tracks Buying Food. Please let the whole thing be here. Okay, it is. Oh, man. But there is a website on the bottom of it. I don't really care to promote another website So don't go to this website that's going to be on the screen here, but let's watch the how to buy food thing just for a few minutes. It's really freaking funny,
So
and I think
today
you'll
we were
thank
watching
me.
another video.
Here we go.
Young America Films
Maybe
presents
put it up here.
Buying Food. It was so difficult in the 50s. They had
Whoa, let's
video
stop
about
everything, because guess what? That is not the riff tracks. That is not. They are doing another riff track, a riff tracks style thing. An imitation riff tracks is what that was. No. Here we go. This is riff tracks live at Comic-Con. Is this them? 2010. Let's try this. This will be good.
Called Buying Food.
Sorry, now I can't pull up the damn screen.
Eventually.
Okay, here we go. This is somebody's film of it, but this is really good. If you can, we'll just watch a piece of it here. I promise.
Never fear, Bill. Edna A. Hill is here. Oh, thank God. Hi, Edna. Centron, bossing you around since 1935.
The American housewife.
Ain't you, honey?
The more important, the more responsible occupation. Wife, mother, laundress, counselor, maid, chef, purchasing agent. All of these are her duties at one time or another.
Saxophonist, acrobat, seal plumber.
Limited, and most incomes are. It is her duty to be sure that what she has to spend buys the most in healthful, nutritious food for her family.
Or just some crap in a can.
She feels that she must buy wisely if she can. But just what does this mean? What can she do to be sure her money goes as far as possible?
Steal the food?
All that she can do is just what this young lady is doing.
Strutting around like a streetwalker.
From a grocery list.
A list that contains a single word, meat.
Using the list tends to eliminate so-called impulse buying, which is a great waster of housewives' funds.
Stick to foods promoted by clowns.
What is impulse buying?
It's Hitler's greatest triumph.
Let's take a look at Henry Slinkman. He's frequently guilty of Henry's going to pick up something for dinner. His wife didn't tell him what to get. Anything that looks good, she said.
And she crushed out her cigarette and took another swig of gin.
More, he's hungry for something different, getting tired of the same old things all the time. That's it. That's what he's hungry for, oysters.
The classic impulse buy.
The way he feels right now, he can eat all of them by himself.
Henry's father was a sea lion.
Henry and his wife don't often eat cake. Neither of them care much for it.
Sure.
But tonight, Henry's really hungry. And this cake certainly looks wonderful.
You just said he doesn't like cake. Yeah, narrator. Slinkman.
Henry
Henry
Slinkman.
knows he ought to have some vegetables, good diet, and all that, you know.
God!
What's this? Henry's never seen anything like this before. You take two.
Henry will pay for and eat any random loaf that's set in front of him. Henry Slinkman.
Yes, Henry is guilty of impulse buying. But how is impulse buying wasteful?
Stay tuned for the thrilling conclusion.
When Henry finished dinner that evening, he was sure he wouldn't be able to eat another oyster for a long, long time.
Still, he went and bought 3 more pints.
And almost 2 of the 3 pints that Henry bought will have to be thrown away.
Right next to yesterday's oysters.
Henry nor his wife cared for the new vegetable. Most of what he bought will go to waste.
The last time he's gonna buy Korean stink radish.
Henry and his wife were tired of the cake long before it was eaten.
Then they both developed mysterious rashes.
Henry found out about impulse buying the hard way.
When his wife declared that their love had died and confessed to a string of infidelities.
The housewife may buy quantities which are not economical for her family.
Ah, you know women.
Here are 2 different sized cans of the same product. The small can contains 16 ounces and costs 12 cents,
Yeah, that says it
or
right on
75 hundredths of a cent per ounce.
Fairly
The
clear.
large can contains 31 ounces and costs only 22 cents.
Oh, okay, Henry.
1 hundredths of a cent per ounce. Which shall she buy?
3 pints of oysters.
On the situation. If the food requirements of the family are great enough, the large can is the better buy, because all of it will be used. None will be left over.
Is this Korean stink radish? Oh boy!
But if the family is small, the small can may be the better buy, since part of the large can would probably have been wasted.
Remember to always wear a suit on bean eating nights.
The right answer depends upon the requirements of the purchaser.
May we also remind you that fire is hot.
Sometimes substantial savings can be effected by buying in case lots.
Why does he need that many jock straps?
This presents a storage problem that some people may not be able to solve.
Yes, it's a puzzle that strains the limits of human understanding.
It's wise to be sure the food is well liked by everyone before you buy too much of it.
Be sure to grope your lettuce.
Highly perishable foods are not suitable for quantity buying because they spoil too quickly.
No.
Canned goods, be sure to read the label.
Buy only things in heavy syrup. That includes oyster.
More reliable than the flowery language of advertisements. Some labels are of the descriptive type that you see here, giving the buyer some description of what is to be found in the can.
After I eat lima beans, I can be found in the can. Oh. TMI, sir.
Other labels carry a letter grade, which indicates the characteristics of the contents. The meanings of the letters vary with the type of food. Usually, the grade A indicates a fancier product.
Ooh, a big mushy pile of overcooked spinach. How fancy.
For example, these grade A tomatoes are larger, more colorful, and less broken than the grade C. Both grades are probably equally nutritious and helpful.
Sure those aren't crushed rats?
These are canned string beans. Which is grade A and which is grade C?
Or were you too busy impulse buying to study your string bean grades?
Here, the smaller beans are grade A because they are more tender and taste better.
And they immediately turn to paste in your mouth. Oh, God.
Here are grade A and grade C peaches. Can you tell the difference?
Yes, I believe I can tell the difference because you were talking about the size being related to the quality of the product. Yeah.
Of course you can.
God, you set me up!
The spices determine the grade of these peaches. The size is of small importance.
The fact that you didn't know that disgusts me.
Grade C. Do they even have grade C shit anymore?
Before you buy.
If it says corn on the label, it's probably
You
corn.
ever start to think how many ways you could buy one kind of food? Dried,
Grade A, no C. Oh, God, stop torturing me. There, Mike. There.
frozen,
Jellied for our Japanese friends.
or fresh. It will pay you to analyze the situation and decide which is most economical for you.
And what bad fortune forced you to eat lima beans in the first place?
Usually, if it's a season when the food or vegetable is ripe, it will be most economical to buy it fresh.
Farmers are desperate, and you can really chisel them down.
This box of strawberries will cost about half as much in summer when berries are plentiful.
Are the berries dreaming of a lake?
The season of the year has tremendous influence on the price of most fruits and vegetables.
So avoid them and stick to bacon.
The reason
Yes. Oh God. On that note, I'll pause it. I mean, there goes on for another 3 minutes or so, but good Lord, the Riff Tracks buying food short, simply spectacular. I'm sorry I don't have. I guess they probably want you to purchase it. That's why it's not on YouTube. I swear to God, I thought it was on YouTube, which is why I just kind of thought I could whip it up for you here. But oh, I needed a bit of a laugh. That was enormous fun. Give me a call, 310-776-5869. I'm here this hour every night, pretty much, Sunday through Thursday. Tonight I'm on opposite Jimmy Kimmel and the Oscar, whatever the hell. Let's do a little bit of downer stuff. Not downer stuff so much as, stuff that I feel like is important to bring up. Let's do Philip Perea here. And find, if I can, somebody. By the way, you can also text this number instead of just calling. If you'd rather just send me a message, feel free to send me a text message at 310-776-COONS. That's 310-776-5869. This is what I wanted to keep talking about. The American Workplace Bully, the story of Philip Perea. If you've missed the first couple of chapters, then you'll probably need to, review and sort of catch up. as I said at the beginning, he did a whole long thing, and unfortunately, Chapter 7 was kind of posted the morning he killed himself, and so now this Chapter 7 is really pretty insane. Let me go to his page here. Let's do Chapter 2.2, and I'll be back.
You're watching the
after
American
this.
Workplace
You'll be able to
Bully
watch.
2-2, continuing from 2-1. If you clicked on the wrong chapter by accident, there is a link below to take you back to 2-1.
I may have done
Or
this
to the
one
very
already,
first installment
actually.
if you're new to the series. All right, to recap, 2-1 exhibited just how irrational and reactionary my former boss really is, Kathy, the VP of Fox and Austin's Creative Services Department. What you haven't heard yet is how Kathy absolutely hates initiative.
Yeah,
So
okay, we did do this before. We're going to go to Chapter 3 then, because Chapter 3 is kind of where we are at. I did all of Chapter 2 last time. Some of these are shorter than others, and sadly, it breaks my heart. I really wish I had the chance to sort of discuss with him some of the things he claims, because I feel like this guy, of all people, is probably, I feel like he would be able to...
I understand they haven't done the interview yet, but you can plant seeds and say, all right, well, this is, I'm thinking about doing this. Is this on the right track?
Hey, welcome back to another scintillating edition of the American Workplace Bully.
Okay, let's stop there. This one's 19 minutes. I do not have time before the end of the show to bring it to you completely, but just the kind of tone of his voice right there. Hey, it's me. I'm back. Fox fired me, and now I'm here talking about it. He worked for an Austin, Texas Fox affiliate, which apparently was owned and operated. I have discussed before the important difference between a station that is affiliated with a network like Fox News and a station that is owned and operated by News Corp, which is what owns Fox News. The affiliation ownership thing is a big deal. It's not important for this story, really, because in this case, the station he worked for was apparently owned and operated by Fox, and not just affiliated by it. But more importantly, he makes a lot of claims that break my heart. Let's just proceed through the story and pick it up where we left off, and hopefully you'll be able to kind of see, if you disagree, please chime in and let me know what you think. The only reason I'm sort of proceeding as though people are watching is because I am watching the Google Analytics, and it blows my mind how many of you are watching. Thank you for watching, by the way. Even if you're watching on tape, that is to say, not live. I'm live at 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific time every night, 0600 to 0700 GMT every morning if you're in the Greenwich Mean Time zone. But let's do 10 minutes of this, and then we'll wrap it up. It's important. It's not happy, but it's important to talk about, and important, I think, for mental health awareness, that sort of thing. Let's let Philip talk to us for 10 minutes or so.
There are many items we'll go over in this third chapter of the series, most of which covers the immediate supervisor, Lorena. But before we do that, I'd like to first talk about an important and relevant film and a personal favorite of mine, Amadeus. For those who haven't seen the film, here's a brief synopsis. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, a naturally gifted musician whose career is sabotaged by an inadequate musician, the Emperor's Court composer, Antonio Salieri, who also just happens to be the official authority on music within the empire. Although the film deviates slightly from the actual history, there is this underlying theme that applies in today's society, that there are two kinds of people, the Mozarts who make the world move, and the Salieris who finagle their way into power.
All right, he seems to be claiming that he's the Mozart, and the people who got him fired were Salieris. I gotta say, I don't think he qualifies as Mozart level artiste, but let's continue.
In theory, a Mozart and a Salieri can accomplish great things together. However, in practical application, the Salieri's insecurities always comes to the forefront of priorities, and are ultimately destructive to both sides. In this chapter, you will hear a similar tale, and by the end, you will be thoroughly disgusted, because this chapter is the smoking gun evidence proving Lorena as being a manipulator, a liar, and a saboteur. And it will clear my name from all of the baseless accusations Fox News and Fox 7 Austin unfairly used to determine my future with the company.
I don't think that's true either, because he had problems above and beyond what they officially said.
This installment will be separated into 3 different videos for your convenience. As always, there are no unfair edits, and the full audio will be released at a later date.
And I do feel like he's truthful there. There are not unfair edits. I've listened to the full-on tape, which he did release, and it sounds like he actually told a mostly honest story as far as he was able to, given that he was fired and kind of going crazy as I don't want to say as a result of getting fired, because I don't think that's true. I think he was cooking already as far as his mental illness is concerned.
All right, there's a lot of esoteric terminology in the audio, so let's go ahead and define those right now. A topical is basically a daily promotion of the newscast. The daybook is a database that contains the rough info for the daily stories. Okay, on to the first audio clips. The immediate supervisor, Lorena, instigated a situation that needs to be addressed by the department head, Kathy. This lecture on deadlines took place in Kathy's office on April 10th, 2014.
All right, so the timeline that I've just kind of come up with based on the emails that have gone back and forth, and I've been reviewing hospitals, I've done hospitals, I've done, everything for many, many years. I have no comments to make as I go through my explanation of it. I do think it is often, not always, but often unrealistic to have a script written and ready to go at 4:30, okay? But I do expect you to come in fully prepared, having read the 5P, having gotten as much as you can from the reporters, having read the daybook. I cannot tell you, not only with you, but with other producers as well, how it's like I can go to the daybook and I can tell them more about the story than they walk into with it, whatever time we are reviewing the hospital, which is unacceptable. If it's in the daybook, you should know it, okay, period. You should read the daybook before you go to one club meeting. It should tell you what the details of the story. So I think it's the 4:30 p.m. Is the absolute last deadline for being as informed as you possibly can be on the stories at hand, and coming in and having some ideas for your copy, some ideas for the stories to promote, have a discussion about this is what we're going to promote tonight, and what angle we're going to take, and what the audience is watching, and who whatever. Here's some copy I wrote. Well, we're not going to promote that story now, or whatever. By 5 o'clock, after that discussion, you should have a script pretty well advanced based on the discussion that was had at 4:30, preferably before 5 o'clock. By 5:15, if Lorena and I don't have a script, if we're at that point, we don't have a script unless, there are many factors. Everybody wants hard and steadfast rules, and we're in breaking news business. You have to be reactive, you have to be efficient, you have to be on top of things, and so you get this 5:15 in your head, whatever time in your head. There are going to be times when you can't do it, okay, and we understand that. But by 5:15, what I will do is by 5:15, I don't have a script that's ready to go. I'm going to start writing it myself to get to wrap up the day.
Okay, let's take a look for a second here, because I feel like all you hear really there is her talking about what the rules are. Sorry, I've shifted locations here. I felt like I wanted to sit on the couch a little bit more, but this is killing me. So let's turn this light off because it's way too bright up in there. That was just a boss kind of telling her guy how it's supposed to be. The boss laying out the rules, and I feel like that was not unreasonable. I still feel like that kind of makes a lot of sense. Let's continue with that's the boss's boss you hear talking. Sort of like the news director, I think, for lack of another term. Kathy.
And again, there are going to be times when there's breaking news, when there's things in the story that haven't come up, but 5:15 is not the time to come in with your first round of your script, because as I have found, in addition to Lorena, it does take a long time of going back and forth. You can't come in at 5:15 and say, here's my script, and then it's going to take another 30 minutes to hash it out. And that's your kind of, this is your, let's say everything is perfect and you can get, this other day that there's not breaking news or whatever. But I feel like working with you on the topical does take some time, and that walking in at 5:15 with being that your deadline for your script, I mean, everything, it should be done by 5:15 on most days. So Lorena's 4:30 deadline is not expecting you to be in with a fully written perfect script, but it's for you to come in prepared and knowledgeable and ready to talk about the stories, and not have me or her telling you things that we've read in the daybook or in the 5 or whatever. That your job is to come in prepared. I usually prepare for that conversation by listening to it. It takes me about less than 5 minutes to read the 5 o'clock show and do the daybook, the daybook.
Okay, before he has his sidebar moment, let me have one, because the daybook, if you don't know, is just a schedule of items that's supposed to happen that day. And by the way, I think it is a sad commentary on a Fox affiliate or any news station that you can read the entire script of the 5 o'clock newscast in 5 minutes, I don't think that's probably true. I think what she's doing is skimming the newscast. But let's go ahead and continue with his sidebar moment here as we wrap up the evening.
All right, sidebar. As you can clearly see, Kathy has a very quiet demeanor. Sorry to put you through that, but I wanted you to see exactly what I was going through with Kathy, mostly spitballing from memorized speeches, and what Lorena was feeding her. Being that Kathy is unusually cordial and not angry, tells me Kathy is uninvolved and only catering to her hand-picked manager's contrived crisis. So how do I know it's contrived? Just keep watching. You'll know it when you see it.
Well, just like in the case of yesterday, going to the assignment desk is not going to help.
We're not stuck. We're not going to be stuck on that. Sometimes they can't help, and
they didn't know anything,
okay.
as expected.
Okay, the assignment desk streamlines news information and organizes the daily influx of press releases.
Right.
Essentially, they're the nerve center of a newscast.
Right.
And Fox 7 Austin has a phenomenal assignment desk team. So when I say they didn't know anything as expected, it's not a slight, but what I already knew. They had no information on a reporter who was at the time chasing a huge interview.
Had you talked to him before you? I think the issue yesterday was you came in somewhat, not having looked at everything. And I've had that experience with you as well.
Yes, I was prepared as far as I was able to talk to all the reporters, and I was getting more information from reporters than I get from the assignment desk. The thing is that I was working on something else, that she was getting some extra stuff. She got the interview with a senator who was going to investigate or have a hearing on the violent sex offenders. That was new. So that's why I am always keeping in touch with all the reporters. That's where the true, all the facts come through. It's directly from them.
But there are many days that's not the case. There are many days when you can find out everything that you need to know from reading the line.
I haven't had that experience yet because I know exactly how they're going to approach the story, and I want to reflect exactly how they approach the story. I don't want to say something different and then have them contradict it. So that's why it's best to go to the source than to get someone's opinion on it.
Okay.
Or whatever.
I'm going to stop him here because it's about time to wrap it up anyway. Here is where he's starting to lose me. I remember telling you guys during my previous conversations that one of the things about him that I feel like I was agreeing with him, and the first time I heard this information up to right about here. And it's because he says, the assignment desk doesn't know anything. I go straight to the reporter to get what they're talking about so I can promote it properly during the promos that I'm writing and producing for the primetime shows on Fox that tease people to stay tuned for Fox News at 10. We're going to pick it up here tomorrow because that's his problem. He's hung up on this thing. The assignment desk does not have the information I need to make my promo. The reporters do, and I'm not going to listen to what my boss and boss's boss are telling me because I know better. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to be a winning combination of thought. It's not going to be a winning combination of deeds. That's going to be a loser move. And that's where we're going to pick it up tomorrow. As always, this is the phone number you can call me or text me at any time if you care to discuss these matters. Of course, I'm live from 10 p.m. to 11 on the West Coast, 0600 to 0700 GMT. It's been a long Sunday. The Oscars was a mild distraction, mostly because of its mind-numbing boredom. You know what it reminded me of, the Oscars tonight? Last comment on the Oscars. It reminded me of how some airline pilots talk about flying an airplane. It was hours and hours of sheer boredom, punctuated by moments of sheer terror. And that's how it felt. Was like, or sheer excitement in the case of the Oscars. It was moments of excitement and clarity. Lady Gaga and the guy who was from the Imitation Game movie, I think he was a music guy who won for the Imitation Game, talking about Alan Turing. And then punctuated by Sean Penn being full of shit, and Neil Patrick Harris trying really hard but just not succeeding at the jokes he was making 90% of the time. I don't know. The Oscars do not impress me. Of course, that's the thing. As I've always said, these are rich people giving other rich people awards, and that is not interesting to me on any day, much less this year. Especially because the movies that, in my judgment, my esteemed judgment, should win are the ones that never seem to win. Whatever. It's not worth watching the Oscars. It's not worth getting wrapped up about. It's not worth, everybody else I know, except for the people I went to see the stupid Birdman with, loved it. Anybody in the theater loves it because it's an homage to the angst of the theatrical actor. But good Lord God, it was just so self-indulgent. It went on forever. I'm about to watch the Boyhood movie, but I feel like it being 3 hours long is kind of a problem. I'm going to have to watch it in two. It's going to take me 2 different sessions of watching movies in order to watch all of the Boyhood movie. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be transfixing like the Guardians of the Galaxy was, and maybe I will be pleasantly surprised. I will report back to you. I'm available anytime. If you know any media jobs that you think maybe I haven't applied for, please feel free to pass them along. If you have any fast food news, I love that. We're doing the fast food thing pretty much on Saturday nights now here, me and Sarah Bell. If you missed this Saturday's episode, Sarah had to join me by phone instead of by camera, but it was still good anyway, and it's worth checking out. Do check out that link. It's on the Sebastian Central YouTube page, and that is it. I'm going to wrap things up. Enjoy your Monday. Have a great week. If you don't happen to stop in until the end of this week, well, we'll see you next time on cBas After Dark. Good night.